From the throat of the world to the white gold tower, Tamriel is a land of wonders. But if you scratch away the gilded surface, you will soon reveal a world which is far darker, far uglier. A world where the laws of kings hold no sway, where wealth is taken rather than earned, and where death is just another currency. Crime is a constant across Tamriel. The roads of Cyrodiil are stalked by highwaymen demanding coin or blood. In the back alleys of Riften, whispered deals are struck over stolen goods. In the land of Morrowind, criminal syndicates wage secret wars in the shadows, using lies and murder as their tools. And in the darkest of places, hidden behind shadowed doors, death itself becomes another form of worship. This is the hidden underworld of Tamriel, a place of thieves and cutthroats, of smugglers and crime lords, of whispered names that hold more power in the night than any emperor wields during the day. It is older than any empire, and as enduring as the hunger that drives mortals to take what they cannot earn. But who are these criminals? How do they rise and fall? And how have they shaped the history of Tamriel from the shadows? Together, let us step out of the light and into the darkness, to discover the true rulers of this underground world. In Tamriel, criminals come from all walks of life. Some are born into poverty and see no other path. Others choose the freedom of the underworld over the rigid laws of kings and emperors. Some are bound to the underworld by blood, while others enter it through devotion to their deities. But no matter the path, certain figures emerge time and time again, drawn inexorably towards a life beyond the law. A constant of the criminal world, thieves are masters of stealth and sleight of hand. Whether slipping a coin purse from an unsuspecting noble's belt, or prying open a treasure chest in a dark dungeon, their trade relies on speed, agility, and a great deal of luck. Some work alone, ghosts in the night who vanish without a trace. Others operate within organizations like the Thieves Guild, where loyalty holds more weight than gold alone. In Khajiit culture, thieves hold a unique place as followers of the trickster god Regine. Though other cultures look down on thieves as little more than scum, mortals of all stripes have been drawn to the worship of the Daedric Prince Nocturnal, who, among her many titles, is known as a patron of thieves. But not all crime is committed in the dark. Rogues thrive in the open as much as the shadows, conmen and tricksters who wield deception like a weapon. A skilled rogue can charm any merchant out of their coin, talk their way past guards, and fence stolen goods at immense profit. They are pickpockets, swindlers, gamblers, and spies, blending into the crowd by day and disappearing into the murk by night. They may lack the precision of a dedicated thief, or the brutality of a cutthroat, but their versatility ensures that when trouble arises, they will always have an escape plan, and will be able to fight their way out if needed. Some men kill for vengeance, others for belief, some only for profit. But for the true assassin, murder is its own art form. Whether working alone or within organizations like the Dark Brotherhood, assassins operate under strict codes. Whether the black sacrament of Sithis or the dark web of Mephala, their methods vary. Some prefer poison, others the blade. But the greatest assassin can make anything into a weapon. Across Tamriel, if you dig deep enough, you will always find that death is its own business, and business is booming. A cut purse may steal your gold, a rogue may trick you out of it, an assassin may take it from your corpse. But a Nightblade is capable of all three, and you won't ever see them coming. Combining stealth and magic, these elusive figures weave illusion and mysticism to aid their crimes. They can disappear in an instant, turning their bodies to shadow, or silencing their victims with a whisper. Some serve as spies and infiltrators, slipping past barriers that no mundane thief could hope to cross. In the right hands, magic can open doors no lockpick would be able to crack, and can slay foes that no blade could hope to pierce. Across the continent, crime wears many faces. From the holiest crusader to the wisest wizard, no one is immune from the temptation of a darker path. Each criminal plays their part in the great game of shadows. Some will rise to rule the underworld, while most will fail on the way, becoming just another victim of noose or dagger. But as long as gold flows and laws exist to be broken, there will always be those who walk the way of the criminal. Across Tamriel, crime is more than just an act of desperation or defiance. It is a booming industry, controlled by ruthless and often secretive syndicates that shape the underworld of their homelands. These organizations are no mere gangs of thugs and murderers, but well-established powers with political ties, legitimate economic influence, and deep roots in the cultures that birth them. In the shadowy corners of Morrowind, the Camonna Tong operates with a brutality that strikes fear into its enemies. Unlike the Thieves Guild, which welcomes all who seek profit, the Camonna Tong is fiercely nationalistic, driven by an unwavering belief in the superiority of the Dunmer. They despise foreign influence and work tirelessly to drive outlanders from positions of power, using smuggling, extortion, and even murder to achieve their goals. Their influence is most deeply entrenched in House Hlalu, the most outward-facing of Morrowind's great houses. This alliance has allowed them to weave their corruption into the very fabric of the province's economy, ensuring that their operations, no matter how illicit, are protected at the highest levels. Under the leadership of Kingpin Orvas Dren, they have waged a relentless war against the Imperial-backed Thieves Guild, seeking to eliminate what they see as an encroachment of outlander scum. Yet despite their xenophobic attitude, they have been known to collaborate with outsiders in pursuit of common profit, proving that sometimes gold can usurp any ideology. To the west, in the land of Skyrim, another clan has built its fortune on crime, though it hides its true nature behind a veneer of legitimacy. In Riften, the Blackbriar name is spoken with equal parts fear and respect. Their matriarch, Maven Blackbriar, has ensnared the city in a web of bribery, corruption and violence, ensuring that no business is done without their consent. The Blackbriar wealth supposedly stems from their business empire, including the famous meadery, but their true power lies in the influence they hold in the Underworld. With the guild acting as Maven's enforcers, and the threat of the Dark Brotherhood ready to silence any opposition, she stands as one of the most formidable figures in Skyrim, ruling from the shadows, a force that even the Empire will hesitate to cross. But not all criminal organizations operate in secret. Some move out in the open, driven as much by ideology as by greed. The Renridra Kryn, a Khajiiti faction whose name translates to Smiling Scum, exists in a liminal space between banditry and rebellion. They answer to no ruler, rejecting the authority of both the Mane of Elsewhere and the Empire alike, claiming to fight for the freedom of their people. Depending on who you ask, they may be noble insurgents seeking to reclaim lost Khajiiti lands, or simply opportunistic brigands using patriotism as a shield for their crimes. Their ranks are filled with smugglers, saboteurs, and pirates, operating through guerrilla tactics and striking from the shadows. They have been known to steal from the wealthy, disrupt imperial control, and, when necessary, engage in ruthless acts of violence and piracy in pursuit of their aims. Across Tamriel, these syndicates thrive in the places where the rule of law falters, where greed overpowers justice, and where power is dictated not by kings or emperors, but by those willing to seize it. Along the shores of Tamriel, a different breed of criminal thrives, one driven only by the ruthless pursuit of profit. Smugglers, slavers, and drug peddlers operate in the margins of society, slipping past the watchful eyes of guards and tax collectors to supply the continent with contraband. Their trade is as old as civilization itself, and though laws of emperors and kings may change, the demand for illicit goods remains as hungry as ever. Smuggling is a way of life for those who can navigate the treacherous backroads and hidden inlets of Tamriel's coasts. Smugglers ply their trade from the Sea of Ghosts to the Topal Sea, transporting everything from ebony and glass to stolen Dwemer artifacts and the ever-profitable moon sugar. This highly coveted Khajiiti substance finds its way into the hands of alchemists, criminals, and addicts alike. Some smugglers work alone, dodging patrols and cutting deals with corrupt officials, while others are backed by powerful syndicates such as the Camonna Tong. Yet, for every major player, there are countless rogue traders who answer to no one, living and dying by their ability to move their wares undetected. But while most smugglers trade in vice, There are some who deal in flesh. Nowhere is this industry more infamous than in Morrowind, where cruel chains have bound generations of Argonians and Khajiit. Though outlawed in the rest of the Empire, this practice persists openly in Morrowind, where ancient traditions die hard. The great houses, particularly houses Dres and Telvanni, continue to traffic in captives, whether for forced labour, personal amusement, or even dark rituals. The Camonna Tong too has kept the trade alive, ensuring that Morrowind's plantations and mines never lack for unwilling workers. Beyond Morrowind's borders, slavers find safe harbour among pirates and outlaws, particularly along the coasts of Hammerfell and Blackmarsh, where imperial law holds little sway. In these places, a captured soul is just another product, sold in hidden markets where morality is but a suggestion. No trade, however, rivals the reach of the skooma business. This narcotic concoction, refined from moon sugar, causes a heightened state of euphoria in its users. Yet, if abused, it can enslave the mind and poison the body, the addiction becoming insatiable. Skooma flows like a torrent through Tamriel's underworld, fueling an economy of dependence and despair. Crime lords and gang bosses oversee its distribution, ensuring that wherever there are desperate souls, there are those willing to profit from their misery. The Khajiit, despite their reverence for moon sugar in its purest form, are often blamed for the skooma epidemic, yet the true masterminds remain hidden behind wealth and power. Across the continent, criminals reap the rewards of this trade, their coffers overflowing as entire communities succumb to the throes of addiction. These shadowy industries, though different in their methods, all share a common truth. Where there is demand, there will always be those willing to meet it, no matter the danger, no matter the cost. In the hinterlands of Tamriel, beyond the eye of the city guards, the law is little more than a distant rumour, and violence is the most valuable currency. Tamriel's highways and backcountry belong not to kings or nobles, but to those willing to take what they cannot earn. Some turn to this life out of desperation, others out of greed, and for a few it is a means to an end, a rebellion against the world which has cast them aside. From Skyrim to Morrowind, and even the heartland of Cyrodiil, bandit clans infest the countryside, carving out strongholds in abandoned forts, ancient ruins, and deep caverns. Some bandits are little more than desperate scavengers, content to take whatever scraps they can steal. But others are disciplined warbands, their ruthless ambition unchecked by law or mercy. Then there are the highwaymen, lone outlaws or small gangs who stalk the roads, waiting for easy prey. They strike from the shadows, emerging from the brush or stepping onto the road with a blade in hand and a single demand: your money or your life. Some fashion themselves as noble outlaws, robbing the rich to give to the poor while claiming some twisted code of honour. Yet others are simple murderers, leaving corpses in their wake with no interest in ransom or mercy. For the unarmed, a well-placed bribe may buy safe passage, but for those who resist, the forests and gullies of Tamriel hold many unmarked graves. But the true masters of lawlessness rule on the seas. From Iliac Bay to the Padamaic Ocean, pirates answer to no law but their own. Some, like the blood hawkers of Skyrim, are little more than raiders, striking isolated villages before vanishing back into the fog. Others have become legends, their name whispered in fear. The Abyssinian Sea is a battlefield of rival pirate lords, each vying for supremacy in an endless cycle of betrayal and bloodshed. These marauders are the terror of merchants and sailors alike, their presence a grim reminder that out on the open ocean, only might makes right. For some, this banditry is a necessity, the only option left in a world that offers nothing but hunger and hardship. For others, it is part of a greater cause. The forsworn of the Reach do not raid for mere survival, but for vengeance, striking at those who have stolen their land and butchered their kin. To them, every caravan set aflame, every traveller left bleeding in the dirt, is a message, a declaration of war against the Nords that they despise. Whatever the reason, Tamriel's roads will never truly be safe, for as long as men can take what they desire by force, there will always be those who choose the path of violence. Perhaps no organisation in Tamriel walks the line between criminality and nobility quite like the Thieves Guild. Far more than a mere band of petty criminals, the Guild is a structured network of thieves, informants and fences, operating in the shadows of many great cities. Its presence can be felt from the ratways of Riften to the wasteworks of Vivec to the underbelly of the Imperial City itself. Where there is wealth, there are thieves, and where there are thieves, there is always the Guild. Unlike other criminal enterprises, the Thieves Guild adheres to a strict code, rules that ensure order amid the chaos of crime. First, no stealing from fellow members, for loyalty is the only thing separating them from common thugs. Secondly, no killing, for murder draws too much attention. And finally, no stealing from the poor, for peasants and beggars are the eyes and ears of the Guild. These rules are no mere suggestions, they are the foundation of the Guild's survival, enforced with a quiet discipline that keeps their operations running smoothly. In some places, the Guild is little more than a rumour, whispered about in dark corners by those who have crossed the wrong people. In others, it is a silent ruler, its hand felt in every transaction, every bribe, every purse that changes hands. Nowhere was its influence more felt than in Riften. At its peak, the Guild was not just a crime syndicate, but the true power behind the city's economy. From the lowest beggar to the wealthiest merchant, none were beyond its grasp. But by the Fourth Era, the Guild had fallen far from its former glory, its members forced underground, its name no longer a source of fear. Yet even on its knees, the Thieves Guild is capable of feats that border on myth. Throughout history, its members have pulled off daring heists that defy all odds. They have slipped through the walls of the strongest fortresses, vanishing into the night with treasures thought untouchable. Perhaps no tale is more enduring than that of the Grey Fox, a figure whose exploits have passed into legend. Whether a single thief, or a title passed from one master to the next, the Grey Fox is spoken of in awe, a symbol of the Guild's greatest triumphs. It is even said that in the Third Era, the Grey Fox masterminded the theft of an Elder Scroll from beneath the Imperial Palace, a feat that has gone down in history as the ultimate heist. The Thieves Guild is so much more than just a gallery of rogues. At times, it has been a force for something greater. On occasion, its members have turned their skills towards aiding the desperate, redistributing the wealth stolen from corrupt nobles and cruel merchants. And then there is Nocturnal, the Daedric Prince of Shadows, whose influence looms over the Guild like an unseen hand. Some say that the Guild serves her, that the luck and skill of its greatest thieves are gifts from the Mistress of the Night. Regardless of whether this is truth or mere superstition, one thing remains certain: the Guild endures. So long as there are riches to steal and secrets to keep, it will never truly fade away. There are many ways to die in Tamriel, but few are as sudden as a knife in the dark. Assassination is not merely the act of murder, it is an art, a trade, and for some, a sacred duty. Two rival factions dominate this grim profession, the Dark Brotherhood and the Iliac Tong, each with its own philosophy and methods. The Dark Brotherhood is spoken of in hushed whispers, its name invoking fear across the continent. It is not just a guild of killers, it is a cult, a congregation of murderers who see death as a divine instrument. They worship Sithis, the void incarnate, and believe that every contract they fulfill is an offering to the abyss. Alongside Sithis, they revere the Night Mother. It was once thought that this was a title bestowed upon the matriarch of the guild, though some whisper she is an immortal spirit who guides the Brotherhood from afar. Her will is exercised through the Black Hand, an inner circle made up of 4 speakers and 1 listener, who guide the Brotherhood along its dark path. The Brotherhood's services are available to any desperate soul who knows their secret ritual, the Black Sacrament. Those who perform it, whispering their target's name over a circle of bones and blood, may awaken to find a robed figure standing over them, a voice in the dark offering to make their wish a reality. The Brotherhood's methods are cold and theatrical, their presence marked by cryptic notes signed with the ominous phrase, "We know." The Brotherhood's history is a cycle of rise and fall. There have been times when its power was irresistible, when its agents moved unseen through the courts of kings and emperors. And there have been times when it has been hunted to the brink of extinction, its sanctuaries reduced to nothing but blood and ruin. But the Brotherhood is a stubborn thing. No matter how many times it is broken, it always finds a way to crawl back to life. The Iliac Tong, by contrast, operate not in secrecy, but out in the open, at least within the borders of Morrowind. Assassination is legal in the land of the Dunmer, as long as it is carried out in the traditional method, which demands a writ of execution be issued for the target. A Iliac Tong assassin may simply walk up to their target in broad daylight and stab them to death, as long as they submit the right paperwork to the guards. Unlike their counterparts in the Brotherhood, the Tong do not serve Sithis, nor do they work for just anyone. It is said that their arts of assassination were passed down in ancient times by Mephala, the Daedric prince of secrets and murder. The Iliac Tong often carry out killings on behalf of the Great Houses, serving as a key player in the endless struggle for dominance between the Dunmer factions. Any Dunmer who falls to a Iliac Tong blade does so with the understanding that their death was approved by the system itself. To the Tong, assassination is not merely a service, but a sacred tradition, a necessary force that keeps the balance of power in Morrowind from spiralling into open war. Their methods are precise, and their actions leave no loose ends, except, perhaps, in the minds of those who wonder how many times their own name has been whispered in the ear of an assassin. Though their philosophies differ, one revelling in chaos, the other in order, both the Dark Brotherhood and the Iliac Tong ensure one simple truth. In Tamriel, no one, not even an emperor, is ever truly safe from an assassin's blade. In the brutal arena of Tamriel, what happens in the Underworld can be just as consequential as what happens on the surface. Thieves and rogues weave intricate webs of deception. Assassins shape the fates of empires with the single stroke of a blade. These figures are not merely outcasts, they are agents of change, operating in the spaces where law and order falter, patrons of dark forces whose names others fear to speak. But what does this say about Tamriel itself? Is crime the symptom of a failing system, or is it simply an inevitable counterbalance to power? Nobles and kings hoard their wealth, guarded by high walls and hired muscle. Is this not its own form of violence? Does that not force those left in the shadows with little choice but to try and seize what they can? Even the righteous must ask, when does law become tyranny? And when does crime become its own act of rebellion? Perhaps that is why these figures are so compelling, not just as dangers to be feared, but as legends to be told. For as long as power is held unevenly, as long as gold and blood remain the currency of the world, there will always be those willing to seize them. And so, the question remains, in the grand scheme of things, is the criminal truly the villain, or simply another player in an endless game?